The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Let me just say, after video distorting the belt, they're proclaiming the real world champion. I'm going to tell y'all, with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. And, of course, we are powered up by Belly Up Sports. Check us out at bellyupsports.com. We are just excited and blessed to be a part of the network. Check out our complete lineup of podcasts. And, of course, check out our website as we've got a great array of writers covering all the sports, from football all the way down to lacrosse to pro wrestling to golf, you name it, hockey and basketball with the playoffs in full swing. We have got you covered here. And we want to also remind you that we are sponsored today by Mahler Bros Golf. Check out MahlerBrosGolf.com and use the promo code BELLYUP and you'll get 15% off your purchase. If you want to look good on the golf course, look no further than MahlerBros.com, MahlerBros.com, a sponsor of the Captain Lou Extravaganza, and of course, one of our main sponsors here on Belly Up Sports, and of course, the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Captain Lou Sports Network, and you can take a look back at all of our archived shows that we've done throughout the year, as we got a lot of good things planned here for you in the coming year, and we have a lot of great shows, a lot of great guests that we've had on. And we've got a lot more, including coming up here momentarily. We're going to tap into the AM Drive podcast and bring in one of our friends from way back, Mike Karavelis from the AM Drive. He's one of the hosts there. They do a great show Mondays and Fridays on their podcast. I invite you to check them out. We're going to talk NBA playoffs here momentarily with Mike. And also later on, we're going to talk NHL with the Stanley Cup. And the NFL schedule release is out, and, well, it's due out tomorrow, but it's starting to get leaked with some of the games. We'll go over some of them that we know, and also we'll talk a little bit more about hockey with the NHL draft lottery. And it was they had their lottery and who's going to go where, and, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks. They get the number one pick, and not without a little bit of controversy, but we'll talk more about that. But right now, without any further ado, let's bring in one half of the AM Drive TV podcast. Always gracious with his time, doing great things with them, also doing a lot in the lacrosse world, the indoor lacrosse world. Let's bring in Mike Karavelis. Mike, thanks for taking time out tonight, or this morning rather. How are you?
Nighttime, morning. I just got off. I feel it. I'm doing good, Lou. How about you?
I'm fantastic, man. You know, it's NBA playoff time. It's NHL playoff time. It's a fun time of year. It kind of fills the void. If it really, we're knee deep in it. I wanted to get you on because I value your basketball opinions in the world of the NBA. And let's talk about. They're down to the quarterfinals, the final eight, whatever. But we got some series on the brink. And including tonight, Game 5 is coming up in Golden State. You got the Lakers and you got the Warriors. What really impressed me in Game 4 the other night, Mike, is we know that AD can bring it on the offensive side. And, his reputation, deserve it or not, is he sometimes doesn't show up every game. He showed up in Game 4 on the defensive end, on the switch outs against Steph Curry. Amazing. And first of all, What can the Warriors do to get back into the series, and what do the Lakers need to do to close it out tonight?
So the first part, if you're the Warriors, you've got to rebuild chemistry from starting from scratch, because to me, their problems started with the beginning of the season with Draymond and Jordan Poole, whatever your take is on that, and now to the point where Jordan Poole has become unplayable in the last game or two. But I mean, obviously, you'd like to see somebody else besides Steph Curry shoot the ball well, which I never thought I'd say in my entire life. But that could be a nice start if chemistry is an issue anyways. As for the Lakers, if they want to close it out, lock in defensively one more time. I don't believe the Warriors stand a chance if Lakers are locked in, like you said, with Anthony Davis. And if I'm the Lakers, I stomp on them tonight and don't give them any breathing room.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you about the Lakers too is I can't believe I'm even bringing this up, and it shouldn't even be getting the airtime, is Mike Greenberg yesterday on Get Up claiming that the Lakers shouldn't even play LeBron and AD. They should rest them in Game 5. I do not believe in that. It's like I didn't have a problem with Embiid playing in Game 2. You want to get the stranglehold. I honestly think that Suns series is going to go 7. So if I'm the Lakers, I play them. Unless it's a blowout in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, then you sit the guys either way. But you got them by the jugular right now. You've got the Warriors talking to themselves. What do you think of that nonsense of sitting LeBron and AD in Game 5?
I used to like the resting players at times, but now if you're in the playoffs, that's out the window. This is why they're world-class athletes, because they are paid to play when it matters, when people like us would not. So, if you're tired, who cares? Like you said, well, get your series over with, have the extra rest. It's stupid that he even implied that. I wish I would have seen that, because I would have sure spouted off at him on Twitter.
Well, it's crazy because now, I'm watching Dan Patrick. I've got that on in the background. And Greeny was mission accomplished, clickbait, because he's got them talking about it. Now he's got us talking about it. So, yeah, he accomplished it. And I watched him a little bit this morning, and he was backtracking. But, I agree with you. That's crazy. Speaking of the teams that they could possibly play, last night, Denver and Phoenix, Game 5 up in Denver. A couple of things off of that. First of all, what did you make of the Ishbia Jokic little controversy? As it turns out, much ado about nothing.
It was much ado about nothing. I don't know what the Suns owner was doing, because I think he knew he was trying to do something, but then to backtrack it later on and say, oh, I don't want him fined or suspended, was just weird. Like, why were you in that situation in the first place? Jokic, like I said, much ado about nothing. I didn't see anything that was crazy terrible. I think Jokic knew who he was. I think Ishbia knew who Jokic was.
Well, and I like Mat Ishbia. He's done a lot of great things here in Michigan for Michigan State and for the state of Michigan. He's a very smart businessman. And I think, I think it's a lesson learned. I mean, no way is he anywhere near Mark Cuban. And it's funny is in pro basketball, it's really the only sport where an owner can sit that close to the action. Now, I know some of the NFL owners can go down on the field, for NFL games, but, they use a little more discretion because they'll get barrel rolled if they don't. But it's a unique situation, and I think he'll learn from it. And I $25,000 fine. I don't even think that Jokic, I had no problem with the technical, and I think that's where it should have been left. But anyways, let's get to the game though. Last night, one of the things that surprises me about this series, let alone last night, DeAndre Ayton's on a milk cart. Where is he? And Denver is really exposing their lack of depth. and Chris Paul goes down, Phoenix still may win going on the back of Kevin Durant and Booker tonight, but they can't keep that up.
As for DeAndre Ayton, I have never understood his hype, never understood why he was the number one pick, and once again, he's being bullied by a better center. For the depth of the Suns, it's funny you bring that up because I actually have some stats here. It's wild that in order to get Kevin Durant, they got rid of Mikal Bridges, who was always an afterthought in Phoenix, unless it was defense. He averaged 26 points and 37% from three in Brooklyn in 27 games. They also got rid of Cam Johnson. It's like with the Dallas Mavericks with Kyrie. You got rid of so much to get what? A guy who might leave after the season. It's going to be a failure if they lose. So I thought that was interesting trade to say the least. And like you said, can they keep it up? No. I mean, playoffs, this stuff matters. It matters, and it's going to be exposed so well. I personally cannot wait for their downfall. But for now, I hope it does go 7 because it could be awesome.
Well, I think it could too, and there's a good possibility of it. And I've seen your thoughts on Jokic, and I agree with you. I think he should have probably been the MVP this year, and he's turned it up a notch. Going into yesterday, he was averaging 36.5 points a game in the playoffs. Man, that's incredible. I know he only had 30 last night or 29, but he's looking good, and it's setting up for a great Western Conference final. Before we go to the Eastern Conference, I wanted to ask you this question. You've got great second-round matchups with the Lakers and the Warriors. I mean, star power. And then you've got a 1970s and 80s rivalry renewed in the Celtics and the 76ers. Awesome. I mean, you don't see the hate that you saw 40 years ago, but that's not all bad, I guess. My question to you, Mike, is is the NBA looking at a potential letdown in the conference finals after these marquee matchups in the second round?
Based on the way I have it in the West, yes, because I do believe Lakers can dispatch of the Nuggets like they did in the bubble. I don't think that series will be competitive if Anthony Davis steps it up again. As for the East, if we get Heat and Celtics or Heat and Sixers, that could be very competitive. But I do think, like you said, second round is obviously going to take the pudding because of who's there and the matchups we're getting regardless.
Yeah, it was just a thought. I was thinking about it the other day, and these are, I got to be honest with you. Those two series have gotten me really focused more in the NBA just for the star power, and they've been good matchups, and it's been good basketball. I really believe that some intrigue. Going to the Eastern Conference, I know you're loving this, and that's fine. Miami looking strong. Butler is just, he's doing well, and it's a great chance for him to, put away some of the stigma that he's had in the past with, quote unquote franchise record. I'm not saying he's carrying Miami, but he's the leader, no doubt about it. What really impresses me about Miami is how they're getting in the heads of New York. And, Julius Randle's comments about how Miami wants it more. First of all, let's go with that. Why in the hell would he say that?
Because it's a conflict of interest with Tom Thibodeau coaching that team. If you break down, the reason why the Knicks are good at all, it might be because Thibodeau has them playing well. But the flip side of that is that this team has R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Jalen Brunson. There's so many guys that are good offensively, and their coach is a defensive-minded play to your 48-man heart gives out. I don't know. I believe this is the one team that I would say needs analytics because this is not who they're supposed to be. So I'm not surprised that Miami does want it more because this is what their culture's been for years. For the Knicks, they're trying to instill this weird culture that for these guys, it's not supposed to exist inside them. They're too good offensively to be defensive juggernauts.
Mike, and Spoelstra to me is one of the most underrated coaches in the last 30 years, if not, I mean, the guy flies under the radar. He's not boisterous. He's results. I mean, yeah, they had to play in the play-in round, but what they're doing right now without two of their key, without Oladipo, without Hero, both of them going down, my personal favorite was Milwaukee. I was bummed out that Miami beat them, but they earned it. It wasn't a fluke. And now they're earning it against the Knicks. The Knicks are an up-and-coming team, but I think to your point, they got to mature. But I just love what Spoelstra's doing. I'm more of a fan of his every year, every series.
Have you ever heard of Haywood Highsmith? I'm a Heat fan, and that name is like an afterthought most of the year. The fact that, like, I'll be honest, when Tyler Hero went down, a guy who I've rooted for a while, that kind of like, I was like, crap. But now I look at the way these playoffs have turned out, like, I'm not even scared anymore. Like, Duncan Robinson is back to playing good. Max Strus is Klay Thompson 2.0, I guess, now. And it's just because the way they're coached. And I wanted to ask your opinion on this one, kind of like a backfire question to you. Do you find it peculiar that Miami does the opposite of super team building? Like, they literally get a whole bunch of undrafted guys and throw them against people, and they do pretty well. Then you have like LeBron and AD, building the super team stuff. I love how that's clashing right now. How the undrafted guys are like their undrafted
I love
super
it.
team.
I'll be the first to admit I'm not a big super team fan. I don't like the concept, but I've learned to accept it because that's what they're doing right now. I mean, right. I would love nothing better than the Miami as an 8th seed, underdog, whatever. But because they're coaching, they're doing it, they're doing it the old-fashioned way, I guess, and that's why I kind of like the Knicks, and I'm not a New York fan of a lot of sports. People know me, but I've got friends that are Knicks fans, and they've been long-suffering. They're passionate, and I wouldn't be upset if they were to win the series. I don't think they're gonna, because I think the Knicks have them right up here, or the Heat have them right up here, and that's huge. And to your point about Spoelstra, I mean, it's amazing. And speaking of that, having them up here, Philadelphia and Boston right now, I watched it last night, bits and pieces, flipping back and forth between that and hockey. James Harden, we all know what his history is. Sometimes he doesn't show up when the going gets tough. He takes the first exit out of town. Exactly. And you got, Embiid's playing good on, probably a 60% knee, if that. Maxey to me is playing well, but Boston, I don't like to use this term, Mike, playing without heart. I hate that because teams don't not show up and play. But, that defense that Boston played last night, especially on Embiid, I was mind-boggled by that, giving them wide open 15-foot jumpers all night long just for starters. They look slow.
It also does not help when I think Jason Tatum was like 8 of 23 and Al Horford was over 7. I think all of those were from 3 for Horford. It's like it's demoralizing. It's kind of like the way, Steph Curry has changed the game for the better, and then sometimes it's the worst because guys are doing that and they won't stop. But as for their defense, and like you said, you don't like to think that they don't have a lot of heart. When that stuff's happening and you lost game 2 and you probably weren't supposed to lose game 2, and now you've lost game 4, or was it game 5, I guess, last night, it can't feel good. It cannot feel good for those players.
Yeah. Yep. Game 5 last night. It could go back to game 7 in Boston. You never know. I mean, this is a series where home court really hasn't mattered a whole lot. But, your point is well taken. They live and die, by the outside shot. But it was so funny is how momentum, if he doesn't make that shot in game 4, Boston's going to have the advantage, right? They're going to be up 3-1. And, I thought Horford played a hell of a game against Embiid in game 4, but it was like Horford ran out of gas or something. And I love the guy. He's got local ties. But, it's interesting. It really is. We're joined by Michael Karavelis, from the host of the AM Drive podcast on AM Drive TV. With that, Mike, I wanted to kind of do something fun with you while we got you on for a few more minutes. I really like what you guys do on your show with your top 5 list. Everything from the best top 5 foods for Cinco de Mayo to your top 5 baseball teams every Monday to whatever. We're talking the NBA with you. I want to get your take, and it doesn't have to be in a particular order, but top 5 duos right now in the NBA.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because before the show, since you did kind of tease that to me, I did make a top 10 list, and I won't go through all 10, but I'll give you an idea of the top 5 right here. I've got LeBron and AD, Steph and Clay. I feel like that could be universally interchanged, depending on the health and, of course, the pedigree of it all. Jokic and Murray have moved up for number 3 for me, because I think they've been – Jamal Murray has been incredible for what the Nuggets are doing, and, of course, Jokic is Jokic. Butler and Bam, because I'm a Heat fan. And number 5 is Luka and whoever his co-star is to replace Kyrie next year.
Okay. Interesting that you didn't have Kevin Durant and Booker in the top 5.
They're not even in my top 10.
Wow, that's interesting.
My thing is that
it's all right. I mean, that's. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. There's like a lag behind us, but I have Jason Tatum. I've been disappointed with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, actually, because those were guys I thought were going to take the next step. Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, Boston media fooled me again, but whatever.
No, it's interesting. I kind of like Booker and Durant only, maybe more so in the playoffs, but we've only had a small sample size with them too. They haven't played together much, so it's hard for me to argue with your top 5. I just thought we'd throw a little tidbit with you on there to do just to kind of pattern your top 5s. So, all right, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want your predictions now. What are we going to see in the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, and then I know what your dream matchup is, but what's going to be your matchup in the NBA Finals?
So before this playoff started, I had a playoff bracket on the I think it's NBA.com website, and I had the Lakers in there. I had the Suns. That is now switched to the Lakers and the Nuggets. I do believe the Nuggets will take care of that series. I also have the Heat and Celtics, and right now Celtics are kind of playing with me on that one, but Doc Rivers holding a 3-2 lead. I feel very comfortable with the 76ers can still choke that away. So I've got the Heat and the Lakers to make the finals. Originally it was Celtics and Lakers, but after seeing the Celtics play with their food against the Sixers, I'm no longer scared of the Celtics. I got Heat and the Lakers like I thought was going to happen pretty much all season long.
And it's funny is yesterday the Celtics were the leading money bet to go to win the whole thing. Now I think they're like 6th out of the last 8. And I got to tell you, I'm going to go on today when we're done here, and I'm putting a couple of dollars on the Heat. The money's there. I mean, I think they're like, what are they, plus 1,800 or something ridiculous? I mean, why not? Put $5 on there, you win 90. It's what I thought I saw this morning. So that's the route that I'm going. Mike, we got a few minutes left. I know you've gotten into hockey the last couple of years, and you've taken the Seattle Kraken. You've adopted them as your team. I love it. I like your passion for them. Now, I know they didn't win last night, but it doesn't matter in the NHL. It seems like it's been, whoever shows up. So what have you thought of the Kraken's their performance so far in the playoffs, and do you think that they can overcome after losing last night and get to the Western Conference Finals?
So one thing I love about my favorite teams like the Heat, the Colts, and the Kraken is that they're always like the tough, gritty, play hard, play right teams. Except for our goalie, Philippe Grubauer, who Aaron, my co-host, swears to God is good, and I over and over again cannot tell. Our offense has been the most surprising story of our playoff run, but I'm no longer scared of the Dallas Stars, and it was actually my pre-playoffs amateur pick to make the final. I'm no longer scared of them. I'm terrified of the Golden Knights or the Oilers. But I think the Kraken can get past the Stars. I really do. The deep will be deep once again, but I don't know if we make it to the final.
Wow. I got to tell you, before this series was going in, I had Dallas losing in the Western Conference Finals to Edmonton. I had an all-Canadian final, which is in jeopardy to say the least. I got sucked in with the Maple Leafs again, and their heart left when they beat Tampa in 6 games. Their performance to me is, you talk about mind-boggling, but we've talked about that on the show. I love your point about the Kraken. Their offense is incredible, and they score in waves. They just come at you and come at you. And I don't think Dallas was ready for that in game 1. And I got to tell you, they win tomorrow night, or they win their next game rather. Yeah, tomorrow night in game 5. I got to tell you, going back to Seattle for game 6 is going to be epic for them with an opportunity. So, wow, Mike, this has been fun. Tell us a little bit about your show, what you guys do, on Mondays and Fridays. Give us, and what you do with the indoor lacrosse, which is taken off. I love your coverage that you do on Twitter, especially with the NLL.
So AM Drive is my darling with my buddy Aaron Crouch, who's from Las Vegas, as you know, originated on 12-ounce sports, and now is taking a mind of its own. And we've had you on the show. It's been awesome. Aaron's got a kid now, so the scheduling has been a little bit different for us, but we're still trying to stay consistent. As for the Daily Dive, that is my child right now. I love talking NLL. It has made me more of a hockey fan. It has made me less of a football and basketball fan, which I'm not happy to admit sometimes. But we're in the full swing of the playoffs in that league as well. I fully recommend it because we've got a lot of big names. The biggest names in lacrosse are on Daily Dive, the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show. But I love what you guys are doing on Belly Up as well. A bunch of great channels on this network.
Well, Mike, hey, this has been a lot of fun. Love to have you on again sometime when maybe later on in the summer. Once we start getting a little more ready for football, and I'll give you a chance to, if your Lakers and your Heat make the finals, I'll give you a chance to come on after that finals and toot that horn, man. But it's great. I love your passion. You're doing great work at with the AM Drive show. Again, thanks for coming on, and keep up the great work, will you?
And you too, Lou. Thank you so much again. It's been my pleasure.
Oh, hey, before you go, we got a comment from Mike Burlon. He says, "So great to see Mike pop up into my world again." There you, man. I got to get you on again. Get some more comments. See, that just shows you your great work.
Thanks, Lou.
Mike. Again, as always, thank you very much, and keep up the great work. Mike Karavelis from the AM Drive is gracious with his time talking NBA hoops with us, NHL. He's and the NLL, the National Lacrosse League. If you get a chance, watch it. It's on ESPN Plus too. It's a league that, if you like lacrosse, it's a lot of action, a lot of fun action. We've got some friends involved in the league as well. But we want to thank Mike Karavelis for taking time out to join us here tonight on the show, or this morning on the show. I don't know how long it's going to take before I get used to not saying tonight. But again, we're on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays right now while I'm on the DL, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And again, you can watch recorded shows on this on our network, the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. We invite you to subscribe to our network. And as always, we are powered up by the Belly Up Network of podcasts, and we invite you to take a look at our website, bellyupsports.com. We've got a complete list of our podcasts right there. And also check out our articles. Great writers, in depth. The insight's incredible. And they cover everything, all the sports. And we're blessed to be a part of that as well. We're going to talk a little Stanley Cup playoffs as, again, we've got some elimination games coming up and just a lot going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NHL. But first, again, a word from Mahler Bros Golf. You know, when you're golfing, the sun's beating down and you want to take that shirt off. You know you can't because of the heat, obviously, and because of golf course etiquette. And your polos may be getting outdated and dingy, and you want to look good on the golf course because, as we say, if you look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. Well, I've got just the answer for you. Mahler Bros Golf has a large catalog of polos with designs for those who want a loud design or others that are like me, a little more subtle and a little more sleek. They've also got fun t-shirts, hats, tumblers, and so much more to make your golfing experience better. Check out MahlerBros.com. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen, if you visit them, make sure you use the promo code BELLYUP and you'll get 15% off your purchase. That's MahlerBros.com. They've got such a great assortment of shirts. When I get back on the golf course later on this summer, when I get the foot healed up, you'll see me in a Mahler Bros designed golf shirt for sure, polo especially. That's my thing. But make sure you check out MahlerBros.com. Use the promo code BELLYUP, and you'll get 15% off your purchase. Hey, follow us on Twitter, by the way, at The Real Captain Lou, or on my Facebook pages, The Captain Lou Extravaganza, or my personal one, Louis Gamlin, or drop me an email, sweetlou1965@yahoo.com, and be a part of the show. We appreciate the emails and everything, and you can comment anytime on our YouTube channel as we're doing the broadcast live here on the show. We will, if you missed a part of the interview with Mike Karavelis from the AM Drive, it'll be downloaded on podcast form. We'll have that out this afternoon. And again, you can see it anytime on our YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Stanley Cup playoffs continuing. Game fours. We got some big games coming up. Game fours, especially with Edmonton and Vegas. I got to tell you, Vegas is looking very, very strong. That game in Edmonton the other night. I just don't know what's up with Evander Kane. No word yet if he's going to get suspended for that hit at the end of the period, shot to the neck with the cross check. I mean, come on, man. You know, the guy, he's the Draymond Green of the NHL, the Bill Laimbeer, whatever you want to call him. But, I don't think he's of the talent. Yeah, I mean, he's a good talent. I shouldn't say that. He can score goals. He can instigate, and he can get in the head if you're, of the other team. But he sure didn't against Vegas. And as Mike pointed out, Vegas is going to be a tough out now. Game 4 tonight. This is a huge game for Edmonton. I know I keep saying it. Home ice advantage isn't the biggest right now in the NHL, but if Edmonton goes down 3-1, it's going to be tough to come back from that against such an explosive team as Vegas. And so that's going to be a huge game 4. Last night, Carolina flexed its muscles against New Jersey. What can you say? Again, New Jersey, I don't like to use the word flat, but they came out and it was like, it was tied 1-1. They gave up a couple of goals in the second period. Was really surprised that Lindy Rupp didn't call a timeout. The tide was definitely on the side of Carolina in that second period. and it was like the floodgates were open. Next thing you know, it's 5-1. Vanasek gets pulled. Schmid comes back in. He gives up the goal at the end of the period. You go in down 6-1. What do you do? Well, now Carolina's up 3-1. Carolina's looking solid. Their goaltending isn't the greatest, but really, we talked about it all year. There hasn't been just a stellar goaltender throughout the playoffs. So that's why they're up 3-1. Florida's been in that position. They came back and beat Boston after down 3-1. It's possible, but I got to tell you, Jersey's going to have to dig down deep. The Hughes brothers, whatever. But just the carelessness and the lackadaisicalness in Game 4 in New Jersey really surprised me with the Devils. I figured they came out, put an 8 spot on Carolina in Game 3, couldn't capitalize on that. So that just shows you the mentality of Carolina, the coaching of Rod Brindamore, getting them fired up for that for Game 4. And now they're going to go back to Carolina with an opportunity to end the series and go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Speaking of teams that are just head scratchers right now, Toronto. They're on the brink tonight of getting eliminated. I don't know what they can do to get in the series. It's not over. I mean, there is a possibility. It's slim. And I think Slim's packing his bags, getting ready to head out of town. But that game the other night, that Game 3 against Florida was just unbelievable. The defensive style that we talked about it on Monday, their defensive style in that game Sunday night was just, I couldn't believe it. They were playing off they is that we got nothing to lose now. Nobody expects us to win the series. Can we come back and win Game 5 in Toronto? First of all, they got to take care of business tonight down in Florida. They do that. I think Game 5's on Friday night. They do that. Get to Game 6. This Florida team is playing with heart. They've got them. They've got the foot on the throat now. It's we'll have to wait and see if they can finish the job against Toronto tonight and then advance to the Eastern Conference Final. I don't know if they'll win tonight. I got a feeling they may, but there's no way Florida's going to lose 4 games in a row to Toronto unless Toronto shows me something that I haven't seen. Their goaltending right now is in flux. Samsonov's not going to play. Wall's going to play. I think Matt Murray's going to be the backup. So their goaltending is going to be in question. Maybe Wall, because he came in cold, will do better tonight against Florida. It's a game of momentum right now in the NHL playoffs and the Stanley Cup playoffs. I get it. We'll see if they can build upon Game 4, if they can somehow win one, get back to Toronto for Game 5. Then if they win a couple of games, then who knows? Maybe the noose will get a little tight for Florida. Right now, it's going to take so much energy for Toronto. They've got the firepower, they got the names. It's just let's see if they've got what it takes up here to get that game, to get Game 4, and then take it one step at a time. Well, the NHL draft lottery was held on Monday night, prime time, and Chicago, they came out on top. What a mess that ESPN had, though, with presenting it. Kevin Weeks announcing the name before the card was even flipped for Columbus for the 3rd pick. Just an absolute, just a debacle. And I've had 48 hours, well, not quite 48 hours, but a couple of nights to kind of digest this whole thing with Chicago getting the number 1 pick. And it's just not a good look for the NHL. I've had fans tell me, hey, it's not our fault. And I'm not banging on the fans. If I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, I'm ecstatic. I don't blame you for being excited. You have a right to be. You've got a generational talent that you're probably going to pick in Connor Bedard, unless, something happens where he demands not to go to Chicago. He wants to be traded somewhere else, like Detroit, hint, hint. But seriously, I just don't like the look for the NHL. How did Chicago get punished for that sexual abuse cover-up? They didn't. They haven't paid any price. Okay, Quenneville's not there anymore. He was leaving anyways. Okay, the GM is gone. All right, but you got to do something. Fining a team $2 million, that's a drop in the bucket. That's like fining you and I $5 or $20. We'll keep the 2 in there. I look at, the precedent that the NHL, sometimes they just can't get out of their own way. Arizona, they hold pre-draft workouts. They lose a first-round pick for that. New Jersey signs Kovalchuk to a contract which at the time was legal. They lose a first-round draft pick. Chicago covers up the scandal. They get slapped on the wrist. And what happens? They get Connor Bedard. They get a once-in-generational talent. It just smells to high heaven, and I don't like it. I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm not going to go as far as say that. I'll say that just to, goad a few people. Obviously, it's not rigged. I would hope it's not. But I just think it's a bad look. I don't think Chicago got penalized. Don't say karma in this one, because if it was karma, they wouldn't be getting this pick. So now they get rewarded with getting Connor Bedard, who already has they've gotten $3 million in season ticket money. They got that in 48 hours or less than 48 hours. So they came out of that smelling like a rose, that whole situation, almost like it was swept under the rug. And it's too bad. It's just such a bad look. And again, I don't blame the Blackhawk fans. I get it, but the organization, to me, got slapped on the wrist, and they got rewarded for covering it up. And it's just a bad look. And I'm sorry. I just don't think they got no punishment for all this that went down. They didn't have to forfeit any first-round draft picks or anything. So again, they're one of the golden childs of the NHL because of their market size. I think that may have something to do with them not getting punished. And now they get rewarded. So another Gary Bettman crap storm that they were going to from. Good luck with that. It's not going to take away from the play. I love the Stanley Cup playoff, the action on the ice. But away from the ice, this league just can't get out of their own way. The coverage on ESPN has been marginal at best. John Buccigross, and I'm not even going to get into it. Let's just say it's been below par. TNT's been okay, but it's a work in progress. They're getting eyeballs on the product, which is good. It's a start, but they got a long ways to go. And this didn't help matters any with Chicago getting the number 1 pick. So, lastly, before we go, Friday preview. To talk a little bit of the and we're going to really dive into that coming up on our show on Friday. We'll have a breakdown of all the games, when they're going to be played, the Monday night games, the Sunday night games, Thursday night games. A lot of new things coming on with the schedule. That's going to be our main focus on Friday. Football's king 12 months out of the year in this country. We know that. We like to promote the Stanley Cup playoffs. We love them, really do. But the schedule release, it's going to be funny to see what their numbers are going to be up against the NHL playoffs and the NBA, and the NBA playoffs. But some of the games already announced. They've gotten the European games that have been leaked. Kansas City's going to be in against Miami, I think, in Germany. There was thought that maybe the Lions might be playing them, or Chicago might be playing Kansas City over there, but they're going to be playing Miami. Black Friday, we're going to have a game this year. It's going to be the Jets going up against the Dolphins, I believe. And then we've got a 4:30 Christmas game. I can't remember. It's the Giants and the Eagles. We've got a New Year's Eve game. I can't remember who was playing in that one, but The schedule's getting leaked. We're going to dive into that. There's, teams are going to play. You don't have to, or let me get this right. You don't have to play a national primetime game. So, for example, they took the rule out where everybody gets at least one primetime game. So there's a chance maybe that the Carolina Panthers may not be on, or the Chicago Bears or whoever. But we know Chicago will. They're a big market, but there's a chance Arizona may not be on. So we'll go over that on Friday. We'll give you the latest on the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NBA playoffs. Who knows? We might have some tickets punched to the conference finals in their respective leagues. So a lot going on Friday. It's going to be a free-for-all Friday, so we invite you to join us then. That's going to do it here on the show. A reminder that we will have this episode downloaded on podcast form on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the podcast outlets. We'll have that downloaded for you this afternoon in case you missed any of the show. Again, we want to thank Mike Karavelis for taking time out to be with us from the AM television show. Always great to catch up with Mike. They're doing great work with the AM Drive. They're on Mondays and Fridays as well. He and Aaron Crouch doing wonders. We want to thank you, the viewer, for taking time out tonight to be with us here on the network, here on the show this morning. Okay, that's going to be my number one goal on Friday, not to say tonight. We want to thank you today and this morning for being on the show as well. Thanks to the crew at Belly Up Sports for helping make this all possible. We really appreciate you. And again, we invite you to subscribe to our network, the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Check out all of our latest shows. We got a lot going on there, and we got some fun stuff coming up in the summer. Football's right around the corner. 3 months from now, it'll be preseason. 4 months from now, we'll be talking opening weekend. But until then, enjoy the Stanley Cup and the NBA playoffs and Major League Baseball as well. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you Friday morning. Again, keep your heads up. Keep your sticks down. Keep your feet moving. And as always, keep your minds open. Good night. Good morning, everybody. Good day. And we'll see you Friday here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza.